Thank you, sir. For General Neller, on April 6th, Secretary Stackley testified that the required number of amphibious ships necessary to provide the lift of 2 Marine Expeditionary Brigades to conduct joint forcible entry operations is 38 ships. That number, but he also said that number is fiscally constrained to 34 ships with an operational availability of 90%. We often hear about combatant commander requirements concerning amphibious ships. General, you're the man who provides the Marines who operate off those ships. What's the right number, in your opinion, and what mix of ships should that include, sir?
Well, Senator, you're correct. The combatant commanders, if we could meet all the requirements, it would take 50 ships. The fiscally constrained requirement is 38 with a 90% availability. Right now, we're at 31. We're going to go to 34 by 2022, and by
we'll get to 34.
We'll get to 34 by 2022.
Where would that leave us? What would that not permit us to do, sir?
It will not give us, based on the average availability, the ability to embark 2 Marine Expeditionary Brigades, which is the minimum requirement for forcible entry. So ultimately, we will get to 38, but it will be beyond multiple fit-ups, I believe 33, and then it'll start to go down if we don't sustain it. So what's the right mix? The right mix is ideally minimum of 12 big deck amphibs that can handle F-35 and Osprey, 12 LPD-17 class, and then 12 other comparable hull forms, either an LPD-17 repeat or what we're calling the LXR, which uses the LPD-17 hull form as its base.
That's only 36.
You've also got 2 LHARs and other ships that would get you to 38. So we have 2 non-well deck big deck ships, which would actually get you 14 big decks.
Between the LPD-28 and the LXR, can you get more ship at less cost if the schedule is accelerated?
Well, first, Senator, thank to all the Congress for giving us the 12th LPD, but absolutely, it's similar to what the CNO said about submarines. Anything that we block by and that we can give the shipyard, whatever shipyard it is, certainty where they can get the workforce, they can train the workforce, and they can learn as they build the ships. They can build these ships faster for less money. So if we were to block by 5 LPD-17 replacements or LXR, we could probably get 3.5 ships for the cost of 5. But that's a big number, but that would be, and I know Mr. Stackley would agree with that, and it goes with any type of ship or any type of platform, whether it's an airplane. The more we can provide certainty to both, not just to the primary vendor, but all the subs that build the parts, we can drive the costs down, and the workforce gets better, they get smarter, they get faster.
Thank you, sir. General Milley, about Afghanistan. My understanding of our goal in Afghanistan is to participate in a sustained partnership with the elected leadership there. And I would observe that we've had a sustained partnership for decades with our friends in Europe and a successful sustained partnership in Korea, although there's not much kinetic warfare going on in Korea at this point. We're there, we've had a sustained partnership, and I think it's been successful for the people there and for Americans also. What is the understanding, in your opinion, of the Afghan people about our purpose in being there and our long-term relationship?
Senator, thanks. And as you know, I've got a fair amount of time in Afghanistan. In general, the Afghan people are very supportive of the United States military being there, and they would be fearful of us withdrawing, completely, at least in the near term. So what we are trying to do is working by, with, and through the Afghan security forces who have been built up to a significant size now. What we're trying to do is train, advise, assist them in order to maintain stability against their enemy, their internal enemies, so that the government and the other elements of the campaign plan, the economy and rule of law, et cetera, can be sustained over time. I think that's going to take a considerable length of time. The attitude of the Afghan people is that they, at least from my experience, is they would prefer that we continue to stick with them. And I think that's our plan, our current U.S. government plan, and I think that's also the NATO plan, is to continue to sustain that effort.
I, for one, concur in your conclusion there, sir. Is it unsettling to the Afghan people when they hear that we might leave early?
I would say yes, but I think that we, the United States and NATO, have been very firm in our commitment now, and we have said what we're going to have and going forward. And I think that the government, the military, and the people understand that message, that we're not going to abandon Afghanistan.
Mr. Ranking Member, I understand we've had some discussion about sequestration, but my understanding is no one has asked these panelists if they are designing a FIDIP that reflects the return to sequestration. I realize I'm a bit over my time, but I think it would be important for us to hear, and I know they are horrified at the thought of sequestration returning, but if each of you could tell us, are you designing a future year defense plan to reflect going back to sequestration? General Goldfein?
Sir, we're not.
You're not?
We're not.
But you're aware it's the law of the land.
Yes, sir, we absolutely are.
Well, okay, General Neller?
Sir, we're not designing one, but we have had discussions about what might be the consequences and some actions we could possibly have to take if it went into effect.
And Admiral Richardson?
So I'd say our design is based on providing the security that the Americans expect of the United States Navy, but we've always got to start that conversation with these sequestration levels, which puts us in a terrific bind and able to meet that mission.
So no FIDIP, though, that actually reflects the draconian things that you would have to implement?
No, sir, we'd have to adapt.
And finally, General Milley?
We've done some preliminary planning, Senator, and so I understand what the order of magnitude actions that would have to take place in the event of full sequestration. However, we know we have not developed a POM or a FIDIP to that level of detail that would be submitted to the President and to Congress.
Well, I certainly hope we can avoid it, but as I said years ago, Senator Reid, it's the law of the land, and it surprised us all last time when we got to that point and it actually went into effect. Hope we can avoid it, and thank you all for your service.